Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. You joined me in Anaheim, California for a full in-depth tour of one of the craziest expos I've ever been to. We are really lucky we get to go to these shows and see electrification conferences and all this stuff. This one is epic. There are chargers, chem power chargers in there, a whole bunch of crazy stuff. There are electric trucks. I just rode into Nikola, for example. I mean, it's all getting pretty crazy. There's fleet vehicles. Every charging company that we talk about is inside. So basically, I want to take you on a full tour of everything we talk about on a daily basis under one roof. It really is epic. We are at the ACT Expo, or ACT Expo. I'm not actually sure which way to pronounce it, but I think everyone says ACT. And just like we do at auto shows, we're going to go on a full tour, non-stop, run through. I'll talk about things that I see along the way, so buckle in. Basically, if you weren't able to make it to the conference this year, my goal is to show you everything that's going on inside of here, and of course, my impressions on them. So let's go on a full tour of ACT. It's going to be pretty epic. So you can already tell it is just swarming with people in here. Stuff is going on, and we're going for a full tour. So there's a bunch of different booths, very similar to like when we did our CES walkthroughs or other auto shows. But this conference is really focused on commercial electrification, but also some hydrogen stuff going on here. And I want to talk about where I think that actually makes sense. It's not passenger vehicles, but sort of the bigger the application, the more I'm into hydrogen, or at least accepting of it. So let's start here. I mean, we have ABB, we have Bollinger. Let's start with ABB. We've been doing a lot of topics on charging, of course, and ABB has been building some new models that have recently launched in America that are becoming sort of the workhorses of our charging industry. And so if you look over here on the left, you'll notice that box that's called the Terra 184. It's now being produced in America in the South Carolina facility, Buy America compliant. 400 amp version, I believe, is how they're running for the future. We've had some issues with CPOs purchasing these. They're only speccing the 200 amp cables, so that means 70 or 80 kilowatts per port. And that's not bad. You just have to brand the charger that way. But I think some CPOs don't realize like how to actually, brand the charger. So ABB recognized that, and they're pretty much like, we're just going to do the high output version only. That's what they tell me. It's going to be epic. They have a megawatt charger dispenser right over here. I can see this juicy handle right there on this, standalone dispenser. If you look to our left of that, this box right here, this is actually a charging cabinet, very similar to like an Electrify America ABB charger. That's what's behind the fence. They have some cool cable management stuff here. This is basically, it looks like an electric motor to wind the cable up and down, maybe for a roof-mounted charging solution for a depot. So this could be really interesting. Lots of cool stuff, and very soon we're going to start to see the ABB Terra 360, which is the all-in-one 360 kilowatt charger coming to the US like within weeks. Like, it's right around the corner. It'll be built in America in their brand new South Carolina facility. So a lot to do with ABB, a lot to cover here. New products, cool stuff coming out. They have a 24 kilowatt wall charger over there. Maybe it's 25 kilowatts, but somewhere around there. And that's, not anything super exciting. This is pretty cool. Bollinger has been around for some time, and of course they have their chassis cab over here. So this is basically their main offering, right? So they want to sell you their cab, their chassis, their batteries, their motors, to put whatever kind of they want to put on top of it. The full truck, I'm not actually sure if this will ever make it to production. They can let us know, but it could be, kind of interesting. This is the showcase piece, but the real bread and butter of this company isn't going to be the trucks. In my impression, they are cool. We filmed them before, but it's really going to be their chassis and their cabs, and basically allow upfitters to put whatever they want on the back of that. I don't even know how we should go through here because it's all just epic. FreeWire is here. We've of course done videos with FreeWire. We've charged on them. We've spoken to everyone at the company. Basically just really cool stuff going on with FreeWire. They have a built-in 160 kilowatt hour battery pack. Some chem power guys over here. And so just cool to see everyone on. There are chem power stations as well. But essentially this is a great charger to have with 160 kilowatt hour battery packs. So you can plug it into literally a level 2, NEMA 1450 outlet, or just a low AC grid connection. All the way up to now with their new Boost Pro, at least a 50 kilowatt input, which is great. And we have a whole video where we went to their laboratory. We spent, I don't know, an hour and a half nerding out, pulling these apart, doing interoperability testing, just epic stuff. If you zoom around here, I'm just noticing, take a look at this. We have a ChemPower charger. This is just a dispenser, of course. This is the actual off-board charger over here. And we've charged on these many times in Europe, and they're just, I think the best. I love these things. They are built to withstand cold temperatures. They're engineered with reliability in mind. They just rock. And we've done some podcasts with ChemPower recently talking about why they're so good. But look at this cable management. This spring situation really takes the load off of the cable. They are using a Phoenix Contact HPC in this particular version right here. Up to 500 amp output. You can really link as many of these to a charging cabinet that looks like this. And you can really configure it however you want. Site level load management, just epic reliability. And now they're just coming to the US. So this year is the year of ChemPower in America. They're building a factory in Durham, North Carolina to produce these locally. You might ask, like, why are all these companies that we'll talk about building in America? And final assembly in North America is part of the Buy America component of NEVI funding. So all of these big funding programs that are coming out for corridor charging, final assembly has to be in the US. So a lot of charging companies are investing heavily here, and this thing just absolutely rocks. They also have the ChemPower mobile unit over here, which is cool for fleet uses and depots. And so you'll see this right here. And that's just neat. I've never seen one before, but this will be a really cool application for fleet. All right, where else should we go? Our friends at Xcel Energy are over here. You guys may remember I went to go review their charging site initially, I guess maybe a few months ago now, and it was so bad and so sketchy. They pulled it offline. They're redoing the whole site, putting a canopy over, and they were like, thanks for making the video. That was a cool response to, honestly, a pretty harsh video about their site. I think it was called like the spookiest charger I've ever been to or something. And they agreed, and it was their first ever charger, and it was a big wake up call for them. So I think the future build out of utility run charging programs is going to be pretty interesting to see. Now, Xcel Energy operates in Colorado, not actually in our town of Fort Collins. There are sections of Fort Collins that they do. And you guys know I've been thinking maybe we should put in a charger or two around and see what that would kind of look like for YouTube stuff. And Xcel has a really cool program that if they're going to be the utility provider for your DC fast charger, they pay for all the installation of the transformer, which most utilities do, but they'll also pay to run the conduit right up to where you drop the charger in. So a huge cost savings. So got to say a huge props to these guys for pushing electrification, I would say almost harder than any utility that I've at least had experience with, and being so receptive to our coverage, which is really great. Looking over here, we have EV auto stuff. This looks like cell balancing, maybe some, trying to see what else, just like fleet analytics, reliability stuff, pretty cool what's going on there. Just, so much going on down this way, but I want to head over here to the left. There's just so much. Volterra is off to our left. We're going to see some cool things from them coming. Our friend Rob from Prewire over here. It is cool to see how many people here do actually watch our YouTube content, and I think are pushing their products to match with what drivers want. This conference in particular is really about the fleet customer. Where do you have to charge 100 trucks, you have to charge 1,000 rental vehicles, things that don't really fit into the end user case of corridor charging or home charging situations. But it's the same people at most of these companies handling both residential, public, and commercial. And so I think our coverage is, I would say, kind of moving the industry along, at least having a little bit of that driver voice, which I'm excited about. Ford Pro and ChargePoint are just up here. There's also BrightDrop here on the right. So let's actually swing by here on BrightDrop. I'm going to try and make a dedicated video with this vehicle. They said I can drive it, which would be really cool. And I think roughly 160 kilowatt hour battery pack, dual motor, has, I want to say, around 200 miles of range. Don't quote me there, something like that. And it's just, it's a cool van. The one thing I wish BrightDrop did, if you come around to the front here, if you take a look up here, this is really going up into competition with like a Rivian EDV, for example. They're Amazon delivery vans, and they also are using them for internal parts stuff now. I wish they just made it look good. I wish it was, a pleasant looking thing. Like the Rivian's got a sense of that personality, that Wall-E look, I think. It improves the neighborhood as it drives in. This, they really messed up the design. And it has halogen headlights, which is like, this thing's like $100 and something thousand with such a big battery. Don't know what's going on there. Take a look inside. It's got all the same switchgear and stuff, basically out of Hummer EV. It's like, you know, all very familiar GM stuff. Ultium cells, of course, which is just their you know, cell technology. I'm not sure the operating voltage of this particular one, but we got to do a little bit more research and film a full video. That could be pretty cool. Heading over now to ChargePoint. This is a company that we cover, of course, heavily. We talked about them. We just posted, actually today, we just posted a 2-hour-long video on ChargePoint. So let me at least walk you through very quickly what they have on display. So they have their new CPE 280s over here. How's it going? Good to see you again. You're back on YouTube.
I watched the whole video.
Did you watch the whole thing? Epic, dude. I'm sorry to hear that. So that's why you're late. And so lots of things going on here. They have their Express Plus, of course. This basic architecture can handle up to 1 megawatt charging, up to, you know, these are sort of the normal DC power solutions. A bit of an odd product, but they sell a ton of them. Not qualified for NEVI just because it's not 150 kilowatt per port. But a lot of cool things going on here. ChargePoint really, and we won't touch on it because I mean, we won't spend too much time here because we just put up a huge video. But ChargePoint really is a software company that enables all their hardware. So this is like the Google of charging, if you will. They basically use one architecture and package all their stuff in different ways to support different charging models. So you can go up to, again, 500 amp, 350 kilowatt output per port here or higher, all the way down to, you know, a 30 amp level 2 charger, up to 80 amp level 2 charging now, dual ports. So there's a lot of different things, and it all uses the same components, same software, best back-end stuff, I think, and like definitely not the cheapest, but maybe the best overall solution. So let's run next door. Actually, this should be the new CP6000 AC charger over here. This I wanted to just touch on very quickly because we've seen CT4000s in the past that can only do 30 amp per port. It's like, what, 6.6 kilowatts at business voltage, weak sauce. They're fairly reliable. I think a downside to ChargePoint is they have site hosts host these chargers and not maintain them. So this is a big focus to say they're partnering with the right site hosts, making sure they're selling service contracts, things like that. But this can now go up to 80 amp per port, 19.2 kilowatt per output at 240 volts. So glad to see this is going. I think in the public, we'll mostly see a 10, 11, 12 kilowatt, somewhere around 50 amps, just because of AC power availability. But this is probably going to become the next workhorse of level 2 charging because ChargePoint sells so many level 2 units, the CT4000s, now the CP6000. This thing's just going to rock and roll. Let's run next door. I want to talk about Ford Pro. They're actually the only automaker here showcasing a charging solution. And you have to give them props for basically going into the charging game. Now, Ford isn't manufacturing any of their own equipment, but let's say you buy a fleet of F-150 Lightnings, Ford Pro Fleet Solutions want to make sure they're charged. My impression, just taking a look at the initial glance of all the hardware that they have here, very cost sensitive. And that is what's important to fleets, but I'm not 100% convinced everything's like super long-term reliability tested as like Kempower, ChargePoint, or ABB stuff. I think a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing here is, I don't want to say the lowest grade, but it's not, I don't know. It's not something I would feel comfortable recommending to people to put in with their fleets, which they're going to rely on. Not that I'm totally against it, but cool solutions here. They have their level 2 units here on the right. Some of the DC products on the left are using the power electronics chargers, which are good, but I think ultimately let down by their cables in this application here. But, you know, a very cool charger. We're going to go over, you'll see more of these in this video because these guys are here. We're actually friends with those guys. I just think they need to come out with a North American adapted version of that charger to handle our use case, our requirements, our power a little bit better. So onwards. There's just so much to talk about. Over here you can see some hydrogen powered vans from France. What am I saying? From France. I don't know. How long are we into this video already? 13 minutes and I'm already messing up? Okay, we got a lot more to do. I haven't, all of this is just me kind of seeing some of these things for the first time. So I'm looking at solar panels, charging, fueling solutions. I don't know what's going on here, but just pretty epic stuff. If we look to our left, what the heck is going on here? Maybe some cable management, safe connect, 6 pins for safety, perhaps. Yeah, just some like fleet usage, connectors for not for EVs but for trailers and some other things. So that's interesting to see. Intelligent battery systems over here on the right. Pretty epic to see all of this industry, all this business. The funny thing is, like, everyone's in suits because it's a business conference, but I never understood why you have to get dressed up to sell something. Maybe I'm a little bit new school and all the old school guys won't subscribe to that. My dad is like, you got to look the part, but I don't know. So let's see what's going on over here. BTC powered. Now, this is an interesting one. One of our most popular videos this year was about BTC chargers not working in the cold, like completely failing. You guys will remember the Electrify America BTC equipment. I talked to these guys. They're like, yeah, we all saw the video. And they were like, yeah, we're working on reliability and their next gen stuff's going to be pretty epic. So what you're basically seeing here is the previous generation dispenser, but they're going to offer their next, sort of 360 kilowatt version. That's going to look a little bit closer to this right here. So this is a 180 kilowatt all-in-one charger. That's, you're going to start to see deployed out, but it will also be hooked up to some juicier power, with an off-board cabinet. So I'm looking forward to seeing this out in the public. I can't think of one that I've seen. They have 2 different screen size options. This is kind of the ad display one, but then they'll also have a smaller screen just to save some cost. So that could be pretty neat. What is this thing? We have a Bluebird bus that is fully electric, 120 miles of range, 77 people capacity. Normally I would think battery packs. GVWR All-American, 36,000 pounds. And it's got the Cummins Power Drive 7000. Love to see it. Cool stuff. There's one of these, a Bluebird bus outside, I think, that you can actually drive. It might be an international bus, but this is like a whole new world of charging, a whole new world of trucks. Centro, we've seen at other shows as well. I think what they're doing is taking existing vehicles, adapting the styling slightly, and then putting in their electric components. It's a model that a lot of people are doing. We've seen it from Lightning e-motors, we've seen it from others, and basically it's a way to offer products that are branded as yours, I would say uglier than the ones they're based on, and then are electric. So this thing, for example, is like a Sprinter underneath, it looks like to me, 270 miles of range. Don't know what's going on with the front of it. It's kind of like someone described one of the Rivian Amazon vans over the telephone, and this popped out. Yeah, this actually, Alyssa thought, what show was that? Was that CES? Yeah, at CES this year, this was here. And Alyssa walked up and said, oh my God, a Rivian Amazon van. And it was this. I don't know what you were thinking there. This thing looks mega and absolutely juicy. It's called the Zeus, and it's like full semi-truck, heavy-duty chassis underneath. Like, I don't know much about it. I'd love to experience it. Just the wheel and tire package is super rugged. You take a look at the inside, super ruggedized in there. Pretty cool. Definitely gives you a feeling of strength and confidence. And then they have this little tiny level 2 charger with the little Webasto charger. It's like, how long would this take to charge this thing up? That's like I don't even know. Would the truck even notice that it's plugged in? Yeah, not sure what's going on with that, but we have Terawatt is over here doing some fleet charging. There's air conditioning for fleet vehicles over there that are, I don't know, clever cooling from air stuff that I'm not even sure what half of this stuff does, but it's pretty freaking cool. We have Bauer compressors on the left. We have Webasto over here on the right. Webasto is heavily involved, of course, as a supplier in the charging and also the electric car business. So looks like they have some battery packs here, different modules. So this is the, high voltage heater. No, not this component. That would be this right here. So this is like a 7 or a 10 kilowatt resistive heating load. And very cool. No inrush current or power peaks, up to 490 volts or up to 870 volts. And so this is like what a heater looks like in these cars. Pretty cool to see a lot of that stuff. So pretty neat. Hey, Sean, how's it going, sir? We're just filming a video, but
really
yeah. We'll catch up soon in a little bit.
Good to see you.
So let's continue onwards. We have EVgo has a booth over here on the right side. Of course, we use EVgo chargers often in the public. Now, EVgo has a really interesting business model, which is different than pretty much any other public charging model. For example, Electrify America has to build out their network. That was a government mandate, so that's how they got started. ChargePoint sells all of their equipment to site hosts that want to host charging, and they just use ChargePoint software and hardware model, and ChargePoint just sells the stuff. So that's the best model, I think, because they're making money on every deployment. And ChargePoint does own and operate like a few sites, but it's not their main business model. EVgo basically uses government incentives and also their own revenue scaling model to try and go about DC fast charging on their own. So they're hosting the sites, buying the chargers, putting them in the ground, and then selling the electricity. And they don't obviously make any of their own chargers, but they do buy most of their new equipment from Delta is what we're seeing. So they have those Delta 350 kilowatt units over here. They can actually do 540 amp output. So technically it's the highest power publicly available CCS charger on the market right now. Technically that would really be Tesla with the Magic dock, I would say. And that's only if you're plugging in another Tesla. If you're not plugging in another Tesla, like through the weird adapter string of Tesla supercharger, Magic dock, CCS adapter back to the Tesla, then it will actually, that gives you full current. I don't know why they do this, but if you don't, it limits you to 350 amps. So technically in any public charging situation, these EVgo Delta units, they have the cojones, and this one's called Kohana. So close enough. It's got the juice. GM Fleet is here. Love to see it. This is the new Equinox. It's actually the first time we've been able to get the new Equinox on camera for you. And interesting that they brought it here for fleet use, but I think they're really trying to push the fleet applications of GM products. So looks pretty sweet. I think it's the right size. What do you think, Alyssa?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, good looking car for sure. It's going to be priced pretty well. They say 300 miles of range. It'll have available Super Cruise. Can't wait to drive it and experience it and see what it's all about. The one I'm actually even more excited about is just over this way. This is the Silverado, and this is the EV. I think they call it the VVT. Oh, sorry. I was reading that wrong. It's WT, stands for work truck. So this is like the base model, 20 amp outlet there, NEMA 520. Love to see that. Love having power on board. So this is Silverado work truck spec. First time we've seen it in this spec. We've of course seen Silverado at other shows in the past that are like the 23-inch wheels and have everything. This thing is just base, but honestly looks really nice. Got the rubberized floors.
There's so much space.
So much space, absolutely. You can see they have some sort of bed liner in here at the moment, but not sure if that'll be a factory option or just standard, but pretty interesting. Love to see that. They have their GM Hydrotech applications over here. These are basically small hydrogen power stations, if you will, and you can hook up whatever you want to it. So actually when GM does their like press launches or media drives, they bring along Hydrotech trailers with DC fast chargers on them. So all of their media drives are powered by hydrogen. Not sure if it's clean hydrogen, but which is cooler than most automakers. They just bring in big diesel generators. This is Lightning E-motors. They have a really cool display. They put one of these things up on these lifts here, and you can see underneath a Lightning E-motors. And this, I believe, is they're switching from a Ford to a GM chassis moving forwards for the 4500 applications. The Transits, I believe, will stay Ford, but this is on their new GM line. And looks pretty cool. I mean, definitely like they haven't updated the styling of this thing in forever. You'd have no idea it's electric going down the road, but underneath it is. At least in the Transits, we'll do a whole video on their Transit. They've brought an ambulance that I want to drive, so we're definitely going to do that. Electrify America is here on the display, or at the expo as well, with a beautiful display. They just celebrated 5 years of operation, so great to see that. You know, we're pretty hard on Electrify America in general, no question, but after 5 years now, we have much better reliability promised. We'll see if they can come through. The new chargers have a lot of promising things to come with them, and it was great. Rob Barossa, who's the future CEO, just went on a big road trip across the country utilizing a lot of their network. And awesome to see that he's a driver getting out there, using it and finding the issues, and hopefully our fingers can only be crossed for improved service because it's so needed in the industry. But they screwed us on the cannonball, so we're not so happy with them at the moment. Signet Surge is a thing. Hey, how's it going?
I'm Rick.
Rick, so nice to meet you. We're just in the middle of filming, but let's catch up in a little bit. Okay, see ya. So what do we have going on this way? I mean, it's just, we only saw like 10% of this place so far. It's epic. So Schneider Electric is over here. They're building a lot of, looks like switchgear, power electronics. They have some chargers over here. They of course have their own level 2 for Europe, and they used to make a US Schneider Electric charger, but I'm not sure if they're doing that anymore. We'll have to see how that happens. But Toyota's also here with a booth. Before we get there, I want to talk about Borg Warner. Borg Warner has this pretty neat product, which is a bidirectional DC charger. And this is basically the dispenser right here. So you can see the CCX connection goes in, and you know, pretty neat solution right here. I forget exactly what it's called. I gotta look somewhere. What was the name of this one? Do you know?
What do you mean, the name? I mean, it's a...
Yeah, the Rhombus. Thank you. That's the one. Yep. So this is their Rhombus unit right here, and it's bidirectional. Looks pretty cool. Got a little light on the top. You'll see these in fleet applications mostly, and so that is just a cool unit right there. Walking across, let's go this way. We have a Mirai, which is cool. So I'm not sure why Toyota brought a Mirai other than to say, hey, you can do a fleet lease on them or something, but you have the carbon tanks right here. We've reviewed the Mirai. Actually, some of our most popular videos on this channel have been with this car. So that is pretty cool to see. And we've taken them on a road trip. We've talked about fueling them. And it's an interesting world. Now, I'm not a big fan of hydrogen for passenger vehicles. I love the Mirai. I thought it was a really nice car. It's basically a shortened Lexus LS. And, you know, new, they're like $70-something thousand. Used for the current generation, the new ones, you can get for like 12, 15, like they're really cheap. And it's a nice car. But you got to deal with, like, if you think EV charging is a pain in the ass, try and drive that really even in Southern California, which is the only place you can drive them, and it sucks worse. Nissan's here with Aria and Leaf. We've spent a lot of time with these, not much to talk about. So I don't think we need to get too much into this. Pro EV over here has some high voltage cable situations that are going through, so you can see some inlet ports, some connections, and don't know much about it, but I'd like to do more on cables, because I think cables is actually, though, that's like a big topic in the charging world and almost holding up a lot of DC fast charging deployments. Flow over here, of course, we're familiar with Flow, very popular in Canada, having super high reliability for their level 2 and DC products. One thing with Flow, though, is we've always a little bit complained they have low power, but they launched a new DC product that's going to have super juicy power, really interesting form factor, really cool cable management as well. And that we're going to make a dedicated video with at some point. Flow said we can pop up to Canada, head to their headquarters, and film basically this unit right here. And I believe this is life-size representative, roughly, of what it'll look like. Maybe a little bit smaller, but close to it. Really looking forward to seeing how this works in practice. They have electromechanical cable management, which should be kind of neat. So let's continue onwards. This is going to be a company we keep an eye on as Flow expands more into America now. They just actually won the contract with GM, I believe, to build their like 80 amp, 19 point something kilowatt AC charger thing at every dealer or at different places. Should be kind of cool. So Karma, we've reviewed the Karma Revero previously, and I thought it was just a very poorly tuned, odd package that looks beautiful. No question, this is a beautiful car. It's no longer associated with Fisker. I believe it was some Chinese folks who bought the company, and this is on sale. It's a car you can buy. It's actually a plug-in hybrid with CCS charging. Uses a BMW 3-cylinder turbo engine from like a Mini Cooper. But they also have this work van over here, this work truck, which I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I guess they are now getting into the fleet space.
Yeah, well, I don't think these will be fleets.
These won't be fleets. But can we just, this is really funny, the Karma booth. You could have this beautiful car or this E450. So not sure what's going on there. EverCharge is here just behind us. Looks like they're a commercial EV charging installation, might make charging more easy for fleets. So if you're like, hey, I'm gonna buy 100 Lightning E-Motors vans or 100 Karma box trucks, whatever it might be, can you put in charging? Those would be the kind of guys that you would go to as an example. We have some thermal management systems here, so you can see air conditioning, very cold coming out of there. Mullen is here. these guys are still kicking. They really have the worst design, I would say, of their products. I'm not sure what they're thinking, but fun story about Mullen. You guys know I recently just got that Coda Electric. We did a video series with a dealer group in DGDG up in San Jose. And my understanding is Mullen bought when Coda went out of business in 2013 or so and folded. They bought 20 or 30 brand new Coda Electrics, put a different face on them, so it was rebranded again as the Mullen something. And I believe they're all still brand new, sitting in their warehouse. I wonder what they're going to do with them, if they're crushing them, dismantling them, or they can give us 30 of them and we can play soccer with them. I don't know, but it would be pretty epic. What would we do with 30? But if they're going to throw them away, I'd rather have them. I don't know if they're able to sell them. Let's continue down this way. So Blink is over here on the left. Blink is certainly a public charging provider that we haven't really seen much from in recent years. Now, I know a lot of the Blink guys, we've known them for years. They have this pretty neat product actually, which can go on the back of like a AAA truck, which is a gas generator powering one of their level 2 chargers. I believe they have level 2 charging up to 80 amps. Right now, they've been purchasing all of their DC equipment from other manufacturers, but I believe they're building their own DC equipment that should launch soon, is what I hear. I'm not sure 100% what's going on there, but could be kind of interesting. If we look over on our left, we have Stabuli, I don't know how to pronounce it, but you can see this is sort of an automatic charging pin for buses, which is really a cool situation to go through. These guys have a megawatt charging handle over here on the left. So we showed this at CES. If you take a look here, this is water cooled. You know, I don't know how many amps, maybe 1,500 amps, something like that. Just a real legit cable. The thing is awesome. And there we have a demonstration of it being picked up right there. Just super, super cool cable. You can see more cables laying around, which we love to see stuff like this. So let's continue. It's very interesting how the electrification market has not only sparked new industries to come here and to to basically start building products for this revolution, but it's also kicking the existing truck manufacturers, parts manufacturers, things like that into gear to really get this thing off the ground. So really interesting here. C is here, SEA, and they're basically another one of those chassis manufacturers, or I should say component manufacturers, to put in a chassis for anywhere from medium to heavy duty stuff. This particular one that we're seeing here is actually a fuel cell range extended product. And let's talk about more hydrogen in a little bit, but it does make sense for a lot of applications where electric just doesn't. So we got to go there. Of course, fuel cells are always paired with a battery pack. We may not want to walk over there, but it'd be cool to zoom in on BYD over on the left. They brought a school bus, a box truck, cab over. Love that we're starting to get cab overs, very Euro truck style things coming to America. Love to see it. Hino's right here, or Hino, I'm not actually sure how to pronounce it, but they're right here in front, and they make, they're an existing manufacturer of trucks that it's getting into electrification. So you can see some of their existing products. I believe they're doing hydrogen and battery electric, though everything I'm looking at here is battery electric. They have a ChargePoint CPE 250 right over there, which is very interesting to see. And interesting, that one right there is actually powered by SEA or C Drive, which is that company right there. Their truck is also called a Dennis, if you zoom down a little bit. That's a great name for a truck, Dennis. Now, I'm sure that's a truck manufacturer, and everyone's going to be like, Kyle, don't you know anything about trucks? And the answer is no. I wish. I love trucks, but I don't know anything about it. Motive delivers. These are, I guess, fully electric delivery vehicles. E450 cab. They have another sort of full enclosed truck over here. This is a Cintas truck. And what's cool is, again, another like Lightning e-motor situation, converter of existing chassis and cabs. If we take a look down this side, you can see they have their own HMI that I guess they delivered. Looks like it has gears inside of it, which is pretty interesting as well. But they're basically just taking, in this case, a Ford, putting in their own motors and battery packs here, up to 237 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is pretty nifty. You can take a look here, just a cutout display of one. And just epic to see for sure. Very cool. And then here we have Beam, which a really innovative idea from years ago now. Beam started to install solar-powered level 2 charging stations. They now actually have a DC option, I believe, as well. But I think 60 kilowatt hour battery pack up there. The whole thing folds down. It can fit onto a trailer. They have their own trailer that's designed to move them around. You can deploy them in parking lots. You can deploy them for events, and they require pretty much no setup. You just drop them. You don't have to plug it into anything. So it's a fully standalone, fully solar-powered charging station, and I think it's an epic idea. I'm really excited about this. They've been out for years. I even remember back when we lived in North Carolina, they started to install the previous generation in Greensboro. This is the new generation, and pretty freaking sweet. So let's move on. Allison Transmissions over here on the left, doing some e-drives built in with their transmissions. Of course, when you're converting existing trucks, you actually still kind of need gears in some cases. And so transmission companies aren't going to go out of business anytime soon. This thing is really cool if we look over here. This is basically a hydrogen station that can feed a battery pack, which then feeds a charging station. And you can configure it in a few different ways, but they're actually going to be powered the Extreme E race here, I think, in just a couple months. And so that is epic. This is really cool because you can pretty much drop it wherever you want. You can produce up to 3.5-ish megawatt hours throughout the day. It basically runs flat out at 150 kilowatt output. And then, that battery acts as a buffer. And they actually have a display just over here on how this kind of works. So you have your big power demand. You can see here your battery pack can start, accepting energy in between charging cycles. So this blue line is your battery pack. And I was talking to these guys yesterday, and it's super well integrated. This is their first one, so I think they're going to build a few more. But this exact unit should be powering the Extreme E races in just a couple months. So I'm excited to see that. And just unique applications for rural charging, because honestly, one of the biggest holdups to electric vehicle charging are the grid connections and getting the power to where you need it run. It's expensive, it could take years, and there's not always the power you want available. So a lot of the solutions we're seeing here at this expo are unique takes on powering EVs that you can't get grid connections for. And hydrogen seems to be a really good interplay here if you're trying to keep it super green. If you can generate hydrogen in a clean way and use it to power EVs, it's certainly not as efficient as just plugging it into a grid, but it's interesting. This is a Zorova charging booth. It is a charging station that I'm not familiar with, but they look cool. I got to explore these. Never seen them before, to be honest. And look at this cable management that they have on this one over here. It's pretty neat. Up to 480 kilowatts all in one in this particular unit right here. Looks cool. Up to 500 amp liquid cooled. Love to see that. They support OCPP 1.6, but 2.0 ready. Why wouldn't you just say you support OCPP 2.0? I don't know. But yep, looks pretty cool. Meets all the specs. I mean, the thing with these that we're getting into is, like, for the last 2 years, it was like, can the charger do 500 amps? Can it do 500 amps at the voltage range that you want? And now we're starting to get into, okay, can it actually do that in different temperature environments with different humidity levels, with different customer use case? So the conversation, at least our coverage, is going to go as to how are they tested? Can you prove the durability and cycle life? Because now it's not only can it just charge a car when it's fresh and new in the ground, it's how long will they last? And yep, more chargers over here, charging Phoenix motor cars, drive electric adaptation. So many different takes on electrifying, just chassis cabs from existing automakers, like E450, for example, is a really popular one. If we look over here on our left, you'll see some huge carbon takes for hydrogen storage. Really, really epic tanks right here. So cool. Actually, I kind of want to see this one right over this way. Now, I believe... how's it going? Yeah.
Hey, stop by the Mobility House if you get a chance.
Oh, thank you. Will do. So if you take a look in here, you'll see these things are freaking thick. And you have to prevent leakage with these. Of course, when you start filling with hydrogen, hydrogen is one of the only gases that heats up as it expands. So you have to super cool it when you fill a tank. And then because it's so light or so small, the particles, they actually can like expand and escape out. So rather than having like battery degradation, you have hydrogen leakage. I don't know, that could be quite dangerous. But this is a really interesting industry. It's something I have not learned enough about, the hydrogen space, because for passenger cars, which is what we've always covered, it hasn't really mattered so much. Now we're getting into the fun stuff. Take a look at this. We're getting into Volvo trucks and even some construction equipment, which is great. So take a look at this. This is the Volvo EC230, fully electric. They have compact and mid-size electrics for construction equipment. I'm going to trade the Twizy in on this thing.
Fair trade.
Fair trade. They would just do it straight up.
100%.
How sick is this? And then, comes the question of how do you power this when it's out in the middle of a field where there's no power? That's why it's so interesting to see all these mobile charging solutions to juice up stuff like this. I don't actually know if there's much of a business case for this type of application yet, but we'll see this sort of come down the line. There's certain areas where they're going to stop letting you do construction with diesel powered equipment and things like that. So pretty interesting. This is the Volvo VNL 760, one of my favorite trucks. I've actually been to the factory where they make this truck and it's just epic. I love this thing. It's been out for years, still looks great. The interior is super driver focused. I don't believe this one is electric. I believe this one has their like level 2 driver suite on it. They call it Volvo Autonomous Solutions, driven by the Aurora driver. So it has the Aurora sensor kit on here, which is pretty sweet. But they have some electric Volvo trucks. If you just lift up and pan to the left over there, super cool to see all of that. Mac is over here. Take a look at this. Battery electric. Is this a garbage truck? Some sort of refuse truck here. This is epic. We're going to start to see a huge uptake of inner city trucks like this that are battery electric. And so this is Mac's truck. And honestly, we need to go over there and drive one of these and just do some videos on them, because with electric, it's not even just like, yeah, you're electrifying the drivetrain, but all of your hydraulic components typically are then switched to electric actuation. Like there's so much going on. Like even with the air brakes and all of this stuff, you need electric air compressor pumps to power your existing aired system. So very, very cool stuff going on with these trucks. But look at this. This thing is freaking huge and full electric. Love to see that. What else do we have? This is like, I don't know, some sort of like thing you'd see at the airport, fully electric. I don't know, terminal tractors. Yeah, that's what they're called. So cool. Let's take a look. This is the battery electric day cab. And does it tell us anything of interest? Battery electric motor, 450 horsepower. Rear drive axle. Doesn't say anything about battery pack capacity. That's all I wanted to know. How big are the batteries? They have essentially their level 2 charging solution here is now 50 kilowatt DC fast charging, and love to see that. But this is an ABB unit, of course, and they've had a really popular in partnering with manufacturers doing this stuff. So Terra 50 something, I think. Oh, it says it right here. Terra 54 DC fast charger. Yep. I don't know if we can call 50 kilowatts DC fast anymore, especially when we're talking about batteries this big and trucks this big. You can see a Hexagon booth. I've never even heard of them. They have a UPS truck, a Mack Anthem over there. They have a Freightliner electric over here on the left. Very cool. If we squeeze out this way, we have hydrogen filling stations. So of course, this is something I really don't know anything about, but would love to learn. We review charging stations. Bigger fleet vehicles are going to need hydrogen just for the refueling times. And so here they have an H35 and H70 dispenser. And so basically that just refers to the pressure levels. The funny thing with hydrogen though is if you only fill to H35 on a tank that needs H70, it's not like it takes longer. It's like you can only fill it to half. So that's how like the Mirai works. If you plug the new Mirai or fill it with this, it only goes to 50% charge, which I think is a really funny limitation of hydrogen. So what else should we see around here? Okay, let's continue this way then. This is just one half of the convention, by the way. The other half is on the other side. We're not even seeing totally everything. Oshkosh is over here to the left. They have a Dodge Ram with their full, I'm not sure if it's a hydrogen powered situation. Elin. Does it say what these things are? So they do propulsion, they do chassis. I don't know. Energy storage, flex form. So fuel cell hydrogen. There you go. And here's the fuel cell stuff. Never seen anything like that before. That is very cool. Yeah. Super neat. Let's continue. Hyundai brought their big cab over hydrogen thing. You can see the tanks on the inside here. How sick is that? This is a cool looking truck. Super into it. Don't believe it's on sale yet. And they've been showing this for a while, but it's called the Exient. And I'm actually about to go make a video with a Nexo hydrogen car at some point. I'm almost out of breath. Let's keep going. I'm not really sure what more to say. I mean, I want to show you more stuff that might be relevant to the audience, but it's just new things that we have to learn, especially when we get to medium and heavy duty applications. Should we poke our heads outside really quick? Let's do that. Let's go out this way. So outside is the ride and drive portion. And this is where actually fleet customers can test drive, can see different models, and literally drive if you have a CDL or get driven in. I believe each manufacturer brought a driver. Earlier I rode in the Nikola Tray, and that'll be an upcoming video on this channel. I rode in the battery electric one, but they also had their hydrogen model coming soon. We won't go all the way out there, but I just kind of want to show you what's here. There's mobile EV charging here all along the side. So you have EV power pods, you have Lightning E-motors, you have, I don't even know what that company is to the left there, but I believe that's a propane powered solution. You have all the ride and drive trucks from Freightliner to BYD to International to Nikola, of course, Rizon, a few others over there as well. Peterbilt has some stuff. And so very cool to see, people actually going and experiencing and driving them around. And it's a perfect day for it. It is all awesome weather, isn't it, Alyssa?
Yeah, it's nice.
So nice, and it's not super hot, just great. So on our way inside, I just want to talk about this hydrogen and battery electric difference, because I think we're actually starting to see almost a divide down the middle here. There are some, we've talked to a lot of fleet operators, and these are the people spending the money that are buyers buying, hundreds of vehicles for their fleets. Some of them won't even consider battery electric. They're like, you know what, we're going to put our own hydrogen station in. These trucks run nonstop. They have to be fueled up. They do long distance. They're going to build their own hydrogen network. They're good to go. And thankfully, there has been a big push here to say it has to be clean or green hydrogen. And I'm not a hydrogen expert, so I'm not sure what percentage that qualifies as solar generation or renewable generation of hydrogen. Certainly round trip, it's less efficient, but you can save significant weight by going hydrogen on a Class 8 vehicle to take, less battery storage out. You still need some batteries, and you have super fast refueling times. The weight doesn't seem to be many people's concern here. It's all about the refueling times. Now, battery electric trucks have 5, 6, 7, 800 kilowatt hour battery packs. The Nikola Tray had a 733 gross kilowatt hour battery pack. And so that takes a long time to charge. Even just sitting flat at 350 kilowatts, that's hours to go, on a deep charging cycle. So mostly battery electric seems to be moving towards short haul applications, with megawatt charging coming soon. This new charging standard that can go 1, 2, 3 megawatts. I think that's when we might see the pendulum switch back towards battery electric and maybe a bit more away from hydrogen. But right now, there's not many chargers on the market that can run flat out reliably and output even 350 kilowatt charging, let alone 1,000 kilowatts or 2,000 or 3,000 kilowatts when we're talking about 3 megawatt charging. The equipment just isn't keeping up with the vehicles at all. And we talked about this when we were over at New recently, where they have a 700 kilowatt mobile charging, also keeping an eye on what these trucks' demands might kind of be in the future. They're like, the charging industry is lame. So Alyssa, looks like you have something you want to say?
No, I'm just feeling the sun on my legs.
Oh, she's feeling the sun. So great, let's go back inside. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's good.
Oh, a good thing. Okay, you looked like you wanted to move on.
Well, usually, yeah.
Usually, yes. Thanks for holding the camera for so long.
Yeah.
How far into this video are we?
We're almost at minute 50.
Okay, minute 50. Let's see if we can keep it close to an hour, maybe under an hour and a half. Because we keep doing long videos.
A lot of long videos.
I know. But you know what? They do well. People complain, but they watch them. So, all right, Nikola booth is off here to the left. Let's show you these things right here. So we have a few different companies here that are showing electric reefers, because a lot of times these are diesel run. So I believe there's hydrogen and electric options here, which is the front of like a refrigerated trailer. So that's over here on the left. There's another one up over this way. This right here is the Nikola hydrogen version, the Tray hydrogen. They also have the Tray battery electric. And of course, Nikola is going to build their own hydrogen refueling network, they claim. I don't know. Believe it when we see it. But I did drive the truck, or ride in the battery electric truck that's over there. I rode in one outside. It's in production, on sale, and in customer hands right now. You got to give props where props are due. We also drove it uphill, so that was pretty cool. First time ever for Nikola. And love to see that. Bosch is here with some of their components. They, of course, are a tier 1 supplier, very well known in the automotive industry, and of course supplying, fuel cell power modules, electric motors, components, subcomponents, and some of the best stuff on the market, in my opinion. Really, really good stuff. Here's the Tray BEV. You can actually walk up and see inside of it. So let's do that so you guys can take a look. Of course, you'll see our full driving review. I don't know if it'll go up before or after this, but let's go inside and take a look.
Hey, what's your YouTube channel?
It's called Out of Spec Reviews.
Out of Spec Reviews?
Yep. A lot of viewers or people that know we're filming here. Really cool cab right here, full Euro truck spec. I believe the cabs are built by Iveco. And you have your regen control knob just over here on the right. It's actually this stock. So you pull it down to increase regen, you pull it up. There's like a whole bunch of levels of that. Really cool one pedal driving option as well. We love to see it. So let's continue onwards. What else should we show you? There's, again, more e-cooling, I guess is what it's called, for reefer cooling on these vehicles. Something looks cool, this Volta truck over here. Let's run through this way. This is an International MV battery electric, so I believe something you can just buy off the shelf from International now. Interesting to see these heat exchangers here. This thing looks sick, 100% electric, Volta Zero, center driving position. Very much inspired, I would say, by Tesla Semi having this, or McLaren F1, really, let's be honest. This is a racing machine. Having that center driving position, very cool. Yeah, really, really neat vehicle. You can see still maybe a little bit early days with some of the construction, but definitely looks cool. Not sure about any of the tech underneath. It's a hydrogen F250 over there on the left for a city use vehicle. Again, more terminal trucks over to your right if you pan this way. This one is a capacity battery electric zero emission. I got to drive one of these sometime. They're so cool. Battle Motors is a name we've heard, of course, before. So if we just walk our way over this way, this thing is long. It's called the Lint EV Stake Bed. It's a long boy. Let's see if it tells us any specs. GVWR, 33,000 pounds, 150 miles of range maximum. Approximate charging time, level 3. Doesn't exist. It's DC fast charging. But it's okay. I think everyone's accepting level 3 as the new terminology, but I always think it's funny. Using a CATL 240 kilowatt hour LFP pack. Love to see that. This thing looks legit and really cool looking truck. You can really put whatever you want on the back of this thing. And then what the heck is this? It's a Danar 250 kilowatt hour battery pack, it looks like. This is really cool, dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
And what would you do with this thing, just briefly?
So at its core, it's half a megawatt hour, up to half a megawatt hour on wheels.
Oh, really?
Hydraulic system that can power any type of attachment. So you can push, pull, haul, dig. The nice thing about having all that electricity on board is that you can then give it up. So you can do it in different flavors, 120. Like
so this is basically a battery you can drive out to a field.
Correct.
With hydraulic pumping power.
Correct.
To run any kind of equipment that you need to.
That's exactly right.
Oh, this is epic.
You can charge vehicles level 2. We have level 3 ability.
Oh, so you have DC fast charging capability, and you charge it just with a DC charger here.
That way, or we can also charge it via 483 phase on the other panel.
483 phase.
Drop a line out of your panel.
Right. So this is really cool. You kind of can fill it up however you want, and you can take energy out of it however you want.
Exactly.
Super epic. We will reach out. We got to do a video on this, a dedicated one at some point.
Appreciate it.
You'll see an email from us soon. This is so cool. It's got a remote control that you can drive it. Super cool. Just epic. So this is basically what he was saying. If you didn't hear him, I don't know how the audio came out, and I don't want to edit the video. 0.5 megawatt hours on wheels up to. And you can do 480 3-phase in over here, or you can do a DC fast charger. Imagine rolling up to Electrify America in this thing and juicing it. That would be epic. Okay, new want list. Coda Electric powered by this thing. That is so cool. We have a liquid hydrogen system over here. It just looks like a trailer that can generate its own hydrogen, although it looks super like wasted space in there. Probably could have been like 1/4 of the size based off of what I'm seeing, but maybe I'm missing something, because it looks like you can walk inside and maybe you want to do something in there.
Very sterile and medical.
Yeah, it looks like this is what you'd find if you go to like an alien planet.
Yeah.
Okay. Hydrogen truck, again, just crazy everything. I do want to make our way over here because Autel's over this way, so I want to see what they have going on. And then I think we're getting close to the end. Ah, what is this? Sick. Love to see it.
Oh my God.
Oh, that small thing, Alyssa, is powered by hydrogen in real time. It's like a miniaturized hydrogen truck. That's cool. A couple more things to look at is this Hyzon hydrogen Freightliner Cascadia. And I don't know much about this whole video. I'm learning. But I will say that this is a name I see everywhere. So they got the money, they got the trucks, they're spending big stuff. So things are going on here. There's also an ELGIN Broom Bear street sweeper that's fully electric right here. That is pretty cool. And that is using a battle truck. And you can see it's CCS charging on one of those Rhombus chargers that we saw earlier over at Borg Warner. So that's pretty neat to see. If we come over here, Proterra has been a huge name in fleet electrification, building some of the first buses along with BYD, of course. I believe all South Carolina Proterra built stuff. You can see these are their battery packs, hugely popular, being sold out there. So they have, power electronics, full systems. They have fleet charging situations as well. Eaton is a big supplier in the space, so not only for passenger cars, but also medium and heavy duty. But actually what we're seeing over here is a lot of passenger car related things. So there's some level 2 charging. There's actually built into breaker technology as well, having small chips that you can just throw right into your breaker panel over here. We'll do a whole video on this at some point. It's pretty interesting, actually. And then if you look at this is one of their in-house DC chargers. So again, something we've never tested or made a video with, but we're in contact with Eaton to try and arrange some filming. And look up, because they're using their same Wi-Fi enabled or sort of chip enabled breaker panels to power these roof mounted level 2 units right here. And honestly, there's no reason that a level 2 EVSE needs to be big and bulky and complicated. Just needs a little bit of communication protocol and power. And that's exactly what they're providing straight into a breaker panel. So I'm happy to see that. There's one more cool thing over here, which can replace the need of like a pyro fuse at a high current breakaway situation. And they're essentially resettable high current fuses through here. So rather than having a pyro fuse and maybe even some contactors in an electric car, this can break away. And a pyro fuse is a one-time use. You got to bring it in, pull the battery open, replace that up. If there's an overcurrent situation, this maybe you can do 10 times, something like that. And if you're running this thing 10 times and breaking away, you got an issue. So that's pretty cool technology. Just some other little connectors, fasteners, cabling stuff going on here, modules for vehicles, switches. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But Eaton is involved in so many different verticals. For example, here's a high voltage GC to DC converter. We talk about this type of technology often, and this is kind of what they look like at a modular level. So, a company that is building an electric truck, for example, might come here and take some components. They might go to Magna and take some components. They might go to Cummins and take some components. And that's kind of how the industry works. It's just a hodgepodge of stuff. I think the real leaders in the space truly are the ones who do as much of it in-house as possible. But that's very expensive. The benefit chart really isn't totally there. And it's most of the heavy duty stuff. You don't have the volumes like you do like a passenger car. So a lot of it is supplier driven. More cab overs, Euro trucks over here. Love to see it. Hydrogen is the big thing for these trucks right now. And
I think it makes the most sense.
Alyssa thinks it makes the most sense.
As long as it's clean though, because if it's not clean, then it's just doing the same thing.
Yeah, I honestly, we need to do diesel versus hydrogen versus electric. And you know who we can do that with is Nikola. I think Nikola is really on a mission to like change the perception about the company now that like Trevor's gone and all that BS is over with. And my friend Dan runs their communications, and I was like, Dan, can we like drag race this thing and like go?
He wanted us to drag.
Yeah, he's like, do you want to come and drag race it? Yeah. So I think there might be some opportunities to learn more, at least at a large scale, using Nikola trucks between hydrogen, electric, and diesel, because it's a use case that I'm not crazy familiar with, but I think there's no one really reviewing and testing and doing range tests and, you know, real hardcore work tests on these things. And I'd like to get into that business, at least learn more about it from just a interesting situation. So we have more charging providers coming through here on the right. We have more hydrogen stuff. Autel's booth over here, you know, we use these chargers at home. We're very familiar with them. This is the dual 80 amp output version right here. I love to see this. So you can go 200 amp input and then do dual 80 amp output on them, which is really great. They have a 40 kilowatt, I believe, charger right here, perfect for overnight charging for like half the vehicles in here. Maybe not quite enough for like a semi truck, but certainly for a lot of these box trucks applications, this is perfect. You can go up to the 240 kilowatt all in one. Maybe they will offer a version that doesn't have the big screen, but I think they can even integrate some diagnostics things in here. Of course, Autel is known for a lot of their diagnostics, and here they always have a cool display talking about how they're charging a fleet. Look, they got cars running around with magnets. They got the fleet applications on the right side, truck charging all the way on the end. They always go all out for these shows, and I just love to see this stuff. If you guys are curious to learn more about Autel, we have full in-depth videos pulling these things apart. This is their new mobile charger right here. You can see you basically just go in, your input power here. It's on a range. I think it actually comes with a 50-foot cable. And then this is, you can get a really long cable for it as well. I believe 40 kilowatts, 30 or 40 kilowatts, something like that. And this is their new product. Tom Malogny has a whole dedicated video on the State of Charge YouTube channel about this one. I'm not super familiar with it, but seems like a great way to not have to put something in the ground. You can just use your existing infrastructure and move this around to charge vehicles. So just like hire a dude every night to come and do that. Okay, well, let's quickly run up to the front here and see what else we're missing. A lot of this is the sort of hydrogen section that we're in right now. This looks cool. Don't know anything about it, but I guess they have their own stations. That might be like the Electrify America of hydrogen, for all I know. I know New Day is doing something like that. Shell Recharge over here on the right, we're very familiar with a lot of their charging situations. They're going heavy into new equipment, building out sites at their own fueling stations. They've also brought along this Starship, the X15N Cummins powered. Don't know anything about it. Looks epic. Doesn't that look cool? Let's show the viewers. Thing is wild.
Having a full meeting in there,
Oh, really? Yeah, let's just show that down the side so they can see kind of what this looks like over here.
like a bullet.
Yeah. Seems like a lot of wasted space. Yeah. I don't think that's ever going to be a production thing, but it is kind of cool. Ryzen over here, Ryzen, 120 kilowatt hour, little cab truck right here. Maximum power on that one. Is that R3E on the left? Do you see that, Alyssa? Yeah, R3E. Yeah, seems cool.
Hey, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Fine. Great video the other day with Victory.
Oh, that's right. We had your prototype cable on there.
Yeah, it went very well.
Yeah, that thing was epic, dude. You got to send us one of those cables.
Let's organize that.
Okay,
so
great.
Let me give you
Thank
my
you.
contact. I think
Yeah.
I have you on LinkedIn.
Yes, yep.
Give me an address. Let's organize it.
Okay, we'd love to do some videos on like why maybe immersion cooling is better or worse than having maybe a chilled liquid cooled option or air cooled. So
That's
we'd
a
love
good
to work
idea.
with you on that. Yeah, we'll see you later. Thanks for saying hey. And so he basically runs cable stuff for Amphenol. We talk about Amphenol cables all the time. Pretty hard on them, honestly. I think they're like lower power cables aren't the most premium feeling on the end. but you know, people in the industry are watching the videos. I love to see that. E-Transit from Penske, you can go and rent today. This is just a full Ford E-Transit. We've made videos reviewing this thing. Love to see it. And you know, that's just super cool. You can also rent from Penske one of these things over here. No way. It's called the EM2, and it's a Freightliner battery electric. We need to drive one of these. If we can just go to Penske and rent one, I'm 100% doing that.
I don't think this big.
Yeah, why not?
No?
Yeah, freaking send it. That's so cool. I don't know if you need a certain class of license to drive those vehicles on the road. So Kenworth over here on the left. How's it going? We're just in the middle of filming, but we'll catch up hopefully before the end.
Great, thank you.
Yep. So we have Kenworth over here on the left, Peterbilt over here on the right. Again, every company seems to be offering a battery electric and hydrogen version. And are we kind of back to where we started? Oh, great, because we have more videos we need to film.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. Is there anything that we missed, Alyssa?
No.
I hope that was a competent, thorough tour of just this massive industry change. Just talking to some people here that that we know who are involved in this industry, it sounds like even just 2 years ago, a show like this would be a quarter of the size, and fleets were just like thinking about electric. But it's here and now. The products are like 2023. This is the year that all of the large manufacturers of trucks, buses, school buses, ambulances, RVs, etc., are going to at least offer an electric version. And very similar to like passenger cars from a few years ago, I think we're still trying to figure out if and what the business model is. You know, longevity is still a question. Refueling is still the biggest question of all of this. Can you get infrastructure in the ground? Is it worth the big investment right now? Are these mobile charging solutions the best option to get us through this time? And it's like a huge experimental phase. So what my impression is, everyone's dipping their toes in the water. All the manufacturers are dipping their toes in the water by making this stuff. And like once the business case works and once the reliability is proven, then this will be the industry to accelerate way faster than passenger cars. This is where the difference and the change will happen. One person buying an electric car doesn't make that much of an impact to our planet, but a fleet company exchanging 5,000 trucks, well, you make a pretty big dent when you do that. So I think it's epic to be here. It's a show I'm never going to miss. ACT is the show for us to come and cover. Everyone is here, from charging to trucks to buses. We've never filmed a video with a heavy-duty electric vehicle before. That's all going to change. This is where our focus needs to be, because once the fleets are electrified, that's when we get that impact of, you know, utilizing electric for everything that's possible, and really having dedicated and perfectly matched battery pack sizes or hydrogen sizes for the use case. You don't need to build a car with 500 miles of range or a truck with 500 miles of range if it's only going to go 50 miles a day. You can save so much material and so much cost by right sizing your vehicles for the use case. So I'm totally into this. It's an epic show. A huge thanks to everyone that we've seen here. We've met so many people, and more videos coming. I'm going to drive that ambulance. The Nicola's coming. We got so much more to do. So stay tuned to this channel. That's your full tour of ACT. Don't miss it if you're in the industry. I'm just losing my mind over here. It's so cool. We'll see you on another one soon. Bye-bye.